YouTube Live, and today I'm going to show you how I made a fun fold card with the terrific Toadstools stamp set bundle from Stampin' Up's current mini catalog. I also am using a couple of the celebration items, which celebration will be ending actually here on Friday, so it's like 4 days, 3 days, whatever that is. Today's Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. So 3.5 days or so to be able to get your hands on some of the free items that I'm using today on the project. So this is it. I think these are technically called Joy Fold cards. I don't know. I can't keep track of the fun fold names. So it's actually sort of like a little mini card with a bigger card base. So hey, Carol and Judy and Pam, thanks for joining today. So this little mini card is kind of stuck on the inside. So you open this flap and then you open the other flap and there you go, the inside of the card, and then close it back up that way. So it's not a very difficult fun fold card, which most of the fun folds that I do, well, none of the fun folds that I do are difficult ones, but this one is particularly easy since it's basically just two card bases kind of stuck together and then decorated. So again, using some of the free celebration items that you can still get for another couple of days, and then they'll be gone for good. So I see, I don't know if I said hi to Sherry and Sally and Carol and Penny and Marilyn. Thanks everybody for joining. So this is the terrific Toadstools stamp set bundle. So this is a cute little stamp set. It's got the little mushroom or toadstool images in it. And I know somebody told me that I think toadstools are the ones that are poisonous and mushrooms are not. So that's how you tell the difference. But I don't know, they look the same to me. So I use the terms sort of interchangeably, and I probably shouldn't, but I see Nisi and Ione and Amanda and Karen. Everybody's here. So the gang's all here. Thanks for joining today. So again, this stamp set, and Barbara as well. So this is a photopolymer stamp set. So that means that it's clear. You can see through it. It's quick and easy to stamp with, which I do love. And then we have got the coordinating terrific Toadstools builder punch, and it punches out the little tops of the toadstools, this one, and then this little toadstool stem over here, you can punch out with the punch. So it's an awesome little bundle. And again, who doesn't love a punch bundle? So I did see today, I believe, that this punch is on low inventory. So if you were wanting to get it and earn some free celebration goodies when you purchase it, get it ordered soon. At least here in the US, I think it's on low inventory, at least last I looked. So make sure you grab it before it goes out of stock, and then you got to wait a while for it to return. So, all right. Hey, Sandy and Danette and Marva, thanks everybody for joining. So again, this is the punch stamp set. Let me set a few things aside here, and hopefully I won't drop anything. And then, of course, I couldn't help myself. I had to use something new on this card, and these are the Textured Notes dies. This is one of the upcoming online exclusives, and I am loving this die set. It is all rectangles. This one I love because, we have a lot of long and skinny sentiments that will fit perfectly in here, and then these just make great layering. I used the smallest one to cut out the sentiment, and then the third from the largest one is the one that I used to cut out the little card front and the inside of the card pieces. So it's just quick and easy, adds a little decorative touch around the edges of the rectangle. So, all right. I see Karen and Carol and Roxanne are all here too. Celebration, I was just yakking a second ago about that. Don't forget, Celebration is ending on Friday. There are some additional Celebration items and beyond what you find in the Celebration brochure that you can get for free with an order of $60 or greater. There are a couple of items that are $120 or greater. Last I looked, again, the heart-shaped bundle, which is a $120 level item, was on low inventory. So if you want to get that bundle, again, it might be a good idea to get your order put in soon. At least here in the US, it was on low inventory. So, all right, so don't forget, Celebration is ending. The joining promotion is ending. If you have questions about that, interest in joining as a demonstrator, we'd love to have you come join our team and get the great joining special deal. So, what stamp set coordinates with those pretty rectangles? It is called Textured Notes. And it is actually, I'll show you in 1 second on the flip side of this brochure. So, hey, Allison, thanks for hopping in. So, online exclusives, don't forget to peek at those anytime that you're out in the online store. The set on the right here, this is just a small sampling of what's available in the online exclusives right now. And then these are some of the new online exclusives that will be starting on the 4th of March. The stamp set that you were asking about is called Textured Notes, and I know this is not a great image of it, so I'm sorry. But hopefully you can kind of get the idea of what it is. It's kind of some greenery, kind of textured look to it, and a couple nice sentiments. So that is the stamp set that is bundled with the Textured Notes dies that we'll be using today. So again, always be out there looking at those online exclusive items. They come and go. They aren't attached to any catalog. So make sure that you pick them up when you see them, items out there that you want, because they may go away and may be gone by the time you order the next time. So, hey, Suzanne, thanks for joining. Last thing, I am a presenter at the Stamp Out California Wildfires fundraiser. Two demonstrators have put together a fundraiser. There's a $20 donation that they will be making to the Glenn Beck's Mercury Foundation, I think is Mercury One organization. I'm sorry, I knew I was going to get the word wrong. Mercury One organization that is helping out people that have been affected by the wildfires in California. $20 donation will get you into a private Facebook page where you will get, I know there are at least 29 of us. There may be others, but I know at least 29 video tutorials from demonstrators all over the world, and you get to hop in. The Facebook page will be live as long as Facebook allows it to be live and out there. So if you can't watch, they're going to start the event on the 27th of February here in the U.S. around 2 o'clock Pacific time. If you're not able to join live, you can watch the replay. Details are out on my blog. There's a link where you can click the button to go donate, and then you'll be invited into the group. So, all right. I know we're actually having a heat wave here. It's like almost 50 degrees, Susan. So I understand. I'm like, woohoo! And I didn't see the word snow in the forecast for the next 10 days. So I'm thrilled about that. Hopefully that means we're done with it for this winter at least. All right. My original card, I had used one of the panels of Gardens, Toadstool Gardens. I don't know why I couldn't get that out of my mouth. Toadstool Gardens Designer Series paper for the background. And I changed it up a little bit because I thought this paper was cute too, and I didn't want to not use it. So I used a little of this for the card we're going to be making today. So it'll look a little different, but it's the same layout, same cardstock cuts and all that good stuff. 72 in South Carolina. Okay, Carol. I was all thrilled about 50 here in New Jersey. So, yes, but man, it has felt really good, and the snow is finally starting to really melt, so I'm hopeful that it'll be gone very soon. So, all right. So I've got a piece of the Toadstool Gardens Designer Series paper. This is cut to about 5 1/8 by 3 7/8 inches. Measurements will all be on my blog tomorrow, so you can check that out, which is stampwithamyk.com. I will link directly to the blog post once it goes live around 8 o'clock in the morning Eastern time, so you'll be able to see all the details and find the printable tutorial and all that good stuff for this card then. Got a piece of early espresso cardstock cut to about 4 by 5 1/4 inches, and we'll stick those two together. And then the little piece of early espresso cardstock measures about 2 3/4 by 4 inches, and then this piece of Designer Series paper measures about 2 5/8 inches wide by about 3 7/8 inches tall. The only thing that is a little bit difficult with this card is if you're using a Designer Series paper that is directional, like this one is, where you got the little toadstools that you want to be facing upward, at least I'm assuming you do. You'll just want to be a little bit aware as you're cutting your Designer Series paper to make sure that you end up with the mushrooms all pointing in the right direction, if that makes sense. If it's stripes or polka dots or something like that, that doesn't matter. You can cut it however and stick it on however, but you'll just want to be aware of that as you are putting this card together if you're using directional paper. This is a piece of Melon Mambo cardstock that is 8 1/2 inches wide by 4 1/4 tall. And then I have scored it, I'll turn it like this for a second, at 5 1/2 inches. So the bigger piece of this just makes a standard size card front. And then you got this little extra panel over here that measures 3 inches. So you can either score it at 3 inches or at 5 1/2 inches. It'll be at the same spot. So hopefully that makes sense. So anyway, that is your card base on this one. And then I'm going to adhere this layered piece of Designer Series paper to the inside of the card. If I can keep the Stampin' Seal on the paper, it might be a good idea. And again, just making sure that you are putting this on the right way around and right side up. My score line is over here if you can't see it, which I'm sure it's a little difficult to see it on the video, but score line is over here. So this is the 5 1/2 inch area of the cardstock panel. I see I got glue goobered on the front of it because I was busy driving my Stampin' Seal off the edge. All right, and we'll just sort of center and adhere that. And then I'm going to flip it over, and then my score line is right here, and I'm going to take the smaller panel and we're going to stick that on technically what will be the front of the card. but because it's kind of a different fold, yeah, I mean, it's like the front flap, I guess is what we'll call it. So I'm going to take that and we will adhere this together. And again, just make sure that you've got it so that they're both facing upward. Okay. Next thing we're going to do is I've got a piece of the, why am I struggling to remember the name of this? Toadstool Gardens Designer Series paper. This is just another one of the panels from it. And to me, I think it's supposed to look like a mushroom that they've kind of sliced in half, like the stem of the mushroom. But to me, it looks almost wood grainy. So I love, this is my favorite pattern in the whole pack. I've been using it like crazy. So this piece, it doesn't really matter because you're going to die cut it, but it's about 3 inches. And then this is just the 6 inches wide. So about 3 inch wide is what you're going to need. So you can make 2 of these cards out of every piece of that Designer Series paper. I've got Granny Apple Green ink. And then the little image that looks sort of like grass from the Terrific Toadstools stamp set. And just inking it up here with the Granny Apple Green ink. And then I'm going to stamp it here sort of in the corner, like that, on my panel. All right. And then I'm going to close that up, and I'm actually going to die cut this first with the little Textured Notes dies. This is one of the new sets that is an online exclusive that'll be available to order starting on the 4th of March. So I'm going to take this and we are just going to cut this little panel. And I just want to, the reason I stamped it first is because there are some little bumps here that it will die cut into the paper. And sometimes if you stamp it after the fact, you can sort of see the little bumps in the paper and they don't stamp very well. So that's why I wanted to make sure that I had the green part stamped initially. Now I'm going to go run this through the die cutting machine, so hang on. And I kicked the table to make sure that I wiggled the screen really well for you. All right. Put that aside and get rid of that. And then I'm going to stamp the little stems. This is the kind of the 3 toadstool stem in early espresso ink on the little panel that I have die cut here. And I'm just going to stamp it kind of over to the edge here a little bit because I know that my 2 larger mushrooms are going to be on the other side. So we're just going to tuck the little pumpkin pie mushrooms over off to the other side. Close that up, and then grab the little 3 toadstool top. Again, these are all from the Terrific Toadstool stamp set and pumpkin pie ink. We're just going to ink that up and then line it up. That's the bonus of the photopolymer stamp set, is you can see where you're stamping at. Line it up and stamp those together. Close that up, and then we're going to stick this on the card front. Yes, card front. So this measures, and I accidentally scored it in the wrong spot, but we're going to stick that on the back side so nobody's going to see it. Nobody will know but you and me because, yeah, I told you. All right, so this measures about 9 inches, and I scored it 9 inches by 3 inches. So again, 9 inches long, 3 inches wide, scored it at 4.5 inches. So cut it in half, and then we're going to adhere this piece of Designer Series paper to the card front, and it layers on there pretty nicely at this size. That's a nice thing if you want to use one of the larger or one of the smaller rectangles with the same card style, the Joyfold card. You can easily just make your the mini card on here a little bigger or a little smaller as needed, based on the size of your rectangle. All right, so we're adhering those 2 together, and then we're going to decorate the front with a couple of little stamped toadstools. So I got a couple pieces of basic white cardstock, and first thing I'm going to do is stamp the larger stem here. Again, these are all from the Terrific Toadstool stamp set on a piece of basic white cardstock that I have. This is definitely just a scrap that I've chopped all up. I'm going to stamp that in early espresso ink on the basic white, and then I think we'll close this up, and I'm going to stamp first one of the toadstool tops. So I'm going to take the larger one first, and we're going to stamp that in Melon Mambo ink on basic white cardstock, and I'll show you in 1 second why it doesn't really matter, but it kind of matters if you want to conserve your paper a little bit, which way around you stamp these. So I'm going to stamp the Melon Mambo first, and that one's going to be down here towards the bottom of the paper. And Close that up. And then I'm going to like crash into 4 more things. I just hit my light. Then I'm going to grab my Terrific Toadstools Builder Punch, and we're going to open it up, and then I'm going to punch out this little toadstool top, or the cap for the mushroom, whatever you want to call it. It is nice because these images actually fit completely inside, so there's a little bit of extra ink around the edge, so you don't have to worry about getting everything perfectly centered, because it cuts out the full color image rather than having any kind of a white border around it. So that is a nice thing. And the reason that I stamped that one first and punched it first is because it's right on the edge here. And then the next one, I can trim off this bottom part and slide it in a little bit further, and then I'll have a little spot to punch out the little stem here. So that's how it works out in my brain. I wanted to be able to try to conserve as much paper as possible, so I didn't want to stamp the middle image first and then have to punch and then, try to salvage the rest of the paper and figure out how I was going to get everything to work together. All right, then Poppy Parade for the next little mushroom, or the next little toadstool cap. We're just going to take that, stamp it here on basic white cardstock, close that one up. And then I do need to trim this down a little bit because it won't fit into my punch otherwise, and be able to punch it in the right spot. So I'm going to grab this, slide it in here. And again, this is another one of those images that it fits edge to edge, so you don't have to worry about getting everything perfectly centered on there. It punches it out solidly all the way around the edge of it. And then the final image that I'm going to stamp will be the stem of the mushroom. Got that one here. And Early Espresso ink. Hey, Mary Ruth, thanks for hopping in. As I'm looking at this, in order to punch it, I want to make sure that I have the thicker side pointing this way and the thinner side pointing up when I go to put it in the punch. So we'll go ahead, ink this up, stamp it here on the edge of the panel, close this up so I don't hopefully stick my fingers in it, and then slide this into the punch. And again, this is one of those that it fits a little bit. There's plenty of extra on it, so you don't have to worry about getting it all perfectly centered. There we go. Get all the extra pieces out of the way, and then bring back in, make sure that I have the actual stamped pieces here, and then bring back in the stem that I had stamped but hadn't actually punched out. And I'm actually going to fussy cut it, which I can't even believe that I'm doing this, but I am. I have almost no cutting skills, but this image, because I was trying to make it look like the other images and not have any kind of a white edge on it, it's okay if you kind of hack into it a little bit, because nobody will know. And you're trying not to have a white edge around it. So yeah, you can cut it in a little bit deeper if you do need to, or if you accidentally do it like I usually do and chop something that you don't mean to, it's not such a big deal on this image. And then around the top. And then trim down the other side here. And again, I have about 0 fussy cutting skills. So if I can do this image, pretty much anybody can. Last little piece here. Go up and around. This is the hardest part, is the little curve there. But again, if you cut it straight across, oh well. All right, there we go. So that is my fantastic fussy cutting skills at work. I know you all are impressed. So, all right, going to glue these together. So I'm just going to take a tiny little bit of multi-purpose liquid glue and put it right up here at the top of the little mushroom, or the toadstool stem. And then I'm going to put that up here kind of in the center where that would be placed at. And I'm going to try not to glue my fingers to anything, which I make no guarantees. And I see this one, when I punched it, actually it looks like it tore the paper just a little bit. So I've got a white spot on there that I don't want. I don't know how well you can see it, but I can see it here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to do just a little tap tap on my ink pad, and that covers up the white spot on there. So again, nobody will, but you and I will know that I tore the paper accidentally, because it'll be all covered. So, and then I'm going to take a very tiny dot of glue and put it on the back of this little mushroom cap, or mushroom stem. And we are going to glue these together, hopefully, and not glue them to my finger, because I can already see that I've smeared glue everywhere, because I'm the worst gluer in the world. Maybe I'll take my paper snips and put it right down here in the center, because that's a lot skinnier than my fat little fingers are trying to hold it on there while the glue takes hold. All right. Whew. gluing is done, we'll go back over to the card front, and I'm going to grab some glue dots to put the larger toadstool on. And just going to put a couple under the larger part here on the top, so maybe 3 of them, and then 1 or 2 down here on the bottom, just so that we have enough to make sure it's stuck well to the card front. Oh, thanks, Rebecca. I'm glad you're liking it. I'm going to take my larger mushroom, and in order to have as much of my littler one showing on the background, I'm going to take this and put it up kind of as high as I can, so that I don't want it floating in midair, but I want it to look like it's attached to the ground, but it's going to be pretty high up on the ground. All right. There we go. And then we're going to take some little dimensionals, and we'll put those on the back of the smaller mushroom. And put a couple here. And then I probably will need to trim down. I'm actually going to take the end of it here and do a little tiny snip off the end to make a skinny little piece of dimensional for the bottom end here. There we go, and we'll call that good. So I think it was the 1970s when everybody had the mushroom stuff in the kitchen. I remember it from when I was a kid. My mom had Corningware dishes, of all things, that had mushrooms on them. That's what I can remember from our house, with definitely had mushrooms on it. And then I feel like, didn't they have like toaster covers and blender covers or something like that also had it on there? I don't know. It's been a minute. And my memory for such things is not so good anymore. So, all right. I've got Melon Mambo cardstock, and it's a big, huge strip, much larger than what we need it to be. I'm going to use my embossing buddy because we're going to be heat embossing the sentiment. And I've got the Poppin' Up to Say Hi sentiment from the Terrific Toadstools stamp set. The mushrooms are yellow and orange. Yes, that was totally a 70s thing. And brown, from what I remember. I don't know why I remember brown being on it too. And maybe green, like an olive green. I don't know. I just know they were ugly. So, all right, well, I'm sure back in the day they weren't ugly, but they're ugly to me when I look at them now. So, all right, going to take some white embossing powder from the Basics Wow embossing powders and sprinkle it over the top of the sentiment. Then tap off the extra. We'll maybe do one more quick sprinkle just to make sure that everything's covered well. Tap off the extra. And do some heat embossing. I almost spilled my embossing powder again. I've done that so many times, and it is a huge mess to clean up. Trust me on that. All right. Stampin' Up! Heat Tool has 2 settings on it. There's a level 1 setting for drying. So if you were here for my video on Friday, you saw me use the level 1 setting because we were doing a little bit of watercoloring, and it just speeds up the process for drying much. And then there's a level 2 setting for heat embossing, and I've got it set to the level 2, so it's going to get a little bit hotter. And it will heat emboss rather than just dry. So, all right, turning this towards the paper and waiting for it to get that kind of bright white and shiny, and that means that it's done cooking. You don't want to overheat it because you can burn your embossing powder and it turns all brown and dull. And then give it just a second to cool off before you touch it so that you don't accidentally smear it. So you had an orange and white mushroom lamp in your first apartment back in the 70s. That's awesome. So I don't remember a lamp at our house. I just remember kitchen stuff. We could have had a lamp. I don't know. So, all right, I'm going to grab the middle rectangle, or the smallest one, from the Textured Notes dies. And again, these will be available to order from the online exclusive starting on the 4th of March. And I'm going to put that right around my sentiment here. It's a pretty tight fit on this sentiment, but it does fit on there. So I'm going to take that and run it through my die cutting machine, and I will be right back. Oh, maybe I'm going to get it run through there. All right, there we go. And then we're going to take some Stampin' Dimensionals, and we will adhere the sentiment to the card front. So, okay, so it's not, I'm sure that there were lamps. Like I said, I know the 70s, shag carpet, and maybe it was, I think it was the 70s when my grandma had like that velvet kind of wallpaper on stuff. The 70s were just an odd time. I don't know. People, I don't know. It was just a strange time, I guess. Thankfully, tastes change. So, all right, we're going to take this and roughly center it on the little card base. So, embroidered mushroom placements for you. Aw, That's awesome. I'm sure she loved those. So, all right. I've got a couple of the purple adhesive back sequins, and these are also one of the free items that you can get with an order of $60 or greater through the end of celebration, which again is ending on Friday, so make sure you're getting your orders put in very soon for that. And we're just going to take one of the larger ones and one of the smaller ones and stick them here next to the sentiment. I don't know that those even match or are the right colors, but we're calling it close enough, so there you go. All right. Same thing on the inside of the card. We are going to stamp the little green image first. I'm going to stamp the edge of the little grass here on a piece of basic white cardstock. And then we're going to die cut that with that same rectangle image that I used on the card front. So get that inked up here first. And then we'll stamp it about like that. There we go. Close up this ink pad before I stick my fingers in it. And then grab this same die, again, the same rectangle die, and we are just going to cut this piece of basic white cardstock. And then I'll come back and stamp the mushrooms, and we'll do the final assembly, and we'll be all done. So. All right. I have little bits of paper and dimensional backings all over the place in my office. I don't know how they all ended up on the floor, but they did. So, all right, I've got early espresso ink, and we're going to stamp the little stem image again for that set of 3 mushroom or toadstools here on the side in early espresso. And then we'll stamp the little mushroom tops in pumpkin pie ink. Again, just lining those up really quick, stamping it down. There we go. And I do love photopolymer stamp sets because they're so easy to see through and stamp with. And then we're going to adhere this to the inside of the card with a little bit of Stampin' Seal. Come on. My driving with Stampin' Seal today is definitely not good. All right. And again, the only other thing that you want to double check, like I said, the card front, making sure that you've got your papers going the right way. This one, you want to make sure that you put your inside in the right spot. So this is going to be the card front. It's actually your not seam, score line. It's going to be over here on this side. So you're going to flip it to the inside and then stick this on what's going to feel like the backward side of the card, getting it roughly centered in there. And then we're going to fold it closed here and do a quick crease with the bone folder. There we go. Yep, you definitely do need the dies. The rectangle dies are the best. I'm loving them. So then we're going to put a little Stampin' Seal on the back of the little mini card. And then we're going to take that, bring back our card base. And then we're just going to roughly center this on the back and the little front flap on the other side. We just want to stay out of the way for a minute while we get this stuck down. All right, then we're going to open this up, and then we're going to fold this one over. Give that one the crease with the bone folder. So that stays closed. Flip this one closed again. Do another little crease here, and that's it. So opens this, and like I said, I think these are called Joy Fold cards, if I remember correctly. I am not the fun fold connoisseur, but so there we go. So this is the card I made originally, just a little different designer series paper on the background. And sorry, this one's wanting to pop open right now. So I'll hold my finger on it so you can kind of get a better idea of what they look like. But this one was my original one, changed up the background designer series paper, gives it a little bit of a different look, but it's the exact same card, same cardstock cuts and all that good stuff, just a little different design on the background. So, okay, so they are Joy Folds. Thank you, Karen. I knew somebody who knows fun folds much better than me would know the answer, and it's definitely not me. So, all right, so yep, this is it. Again, details for these cards will be posted on my blog tomorrow, which is stampwithamyk.com, and I will post a link directly to the blog post with all the details. Once it goes live, there will be a PDF tutorial that you can come back and check out all the cardstock cuts and hopefully correct everything that I said that was wrong and, get the words right since I've been stumbling over them this entire video. So thanks again, everybody, for joining. I'll plan to be live around 2 o'clock Eastern time on Friday, and then again around 2 o'clock Eastern time next week, Tuesday. Have a great week, and we'll chat with you all soon.